the greatest thing Father Dan ever taught me is like how to lead by example. He tasked me with, he's like, I want more youth in church. Yeah, I got to see a lot of the US and even parts of the world, which I'm very grateful for.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of the United Wisdom podcast. Today, I am welcome with I think it's Santa Claus, Mexican Santa Claus, but don't be fooled. It's Jacob. So, Jacob, why don't you give yourself a quick little introduction?
Hello, my name is Jacob Vega. I am 20 years old. I am the oldest of four, and yes, um, I am Catholic, and I also just got back from church, but I'm in my parents' backyard right now.
Nice, nice. I almost forget that you're younger than me. I still forget. That's crazy. But yeah, you just came back from mass, right?
Mhm.
So you went to like the 12 o'clock.
No, it's because I'm a hour behind you, so there's a
Oh,
10
that's
o'clock.
right. Okay. Right now for me it's 1, so right now for you it's what, 12?
Mhm.
Okay, okay. Yeah, is it like a bilingual or just
No,
English?
it's just English. My mom and I are really the only ones that speak Spanish in my family.
Right, right. Oh yeah, that is true. All right. So, I just wanted to give a quick little introduction of our friendship just so that people know like who the hell is this guy, like we know Jorge,
Yeah.
but you guys don't also know Jacob. So, it was actually kind of like the three of us, okay?
Well, first of all, I knew Jorge before you.
You did know him before me. How long did you know him before me? I feel like
um, I think I knew him 3 months before you. It's because, well, the first time I actually like saw him or interacted with him is when I was part of the Holy Rosary youth group when I just moved to Florida, but that's when we were still on Zoom. So I actually saw him on Zoom, but I think I met him. Yeah, I start like middle of January in 2022,
mhm.
2022, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, and then I think you met him after that. I think it was about a month later is when you met him.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the time frame always like mixes up because I think it's been like almost 4 years,
Hmm.
right? Wow, makes me feel really old, bro.
Yeah, I
Makes
know.
me
I,
feel really
I I
old.
definitely feel very old.
Yeah, I first met you as you were the youth group leader, right?
Hmm.
I
Yes.
I met you as the youth group leader, and then I guess from there we just started playing basketball one on ones. You know, just the friendship just grew. So yeah, guys,
Yeah.
Jacob has been my friend for a long time, very long time. We love basketball. We love the faith.
Hmm.
Talk about basketball. Like I still think about to this day, like the last time we played till you when you left to Texas. That was really
Oh yeah,
fun.
didn't you destroy me?
Yeah, but that
Yeah,
was
I
for
think you
like
destroyed because you were like in your training arc. You were in your training arc,
yeah,
and I
but
was
I
packing up to leave. But yeah, you definitely destroyed me last time we played. I need to get my rematch.
yeah, we do. I probably lost all those skills. It was like for only a small amount of time. It was a very spontaneous W. That's all. That's, but it was really fun. It was really fun. I remember waking up at 4 a.m. to go train at LA Fitness, and there was only this middle-aged dude that would train there with me. He would just drop straight buckets from the 3-point line at like 5 in the morning.
That's
But yeah, it
crazy.
was really fun. It really meant a lot to me that I don't that I was able to like you say like destroy you because I looked up to you as a basketball player because you made high school. You played varsity.
Well, so the thing is, like, it's this whole complicated thing, but I was a very good basketball player. My basketball career is very interesting because uh, I would have definitely gotten into varsity, but then COVID happened. But so
Mm.
then I joined a men's league in Miami-Dade, which I actually was pretty damn good at.
Oh, I didn't even know you joined the men's league. That's really
Hmm.
cool. Yeah. So the reason why I look up to you and that is because like I could never make a team. I tried out 3 times. I never made a team. So the fact that
Well,
I could just get
you did also, you were also in Miami. I think the fact that I
yeah.
was in Alaska, that made it a little simpler for me.
Well, yeah, I think so. You think the competition was a lot less in Alaska?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
the travel was a lot better, I would say. Yeah,
right.
like Alaska's so big for our just away games, we would take like flights and so many days off of school just to play our rivals and stuff like that.
Right. But I also think the fact that up until that point, that one W, you would basically destroy me.
Uh,
So it
yeah,
would no, you would
probably.
win. You would win because
Yeah, probably.
if I remember correctly, it was always like okay, I'd score maybe the first four, and then I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna win, and then you just boom, like all my energy depleted. You just cook me from there.
Yeah, that's usually how I play my game.
Yeah, you play it slow, and then boom, you attack. But
Hmm.
all right, so you're in Texas now, and we
Yes.
mentioned that.
Hmm.
So you move used to moving around a lot
Yes, I'm
because
very used to that.
you're a military child. So tell me about that because I find that really, really interesting.
Well, the military child lifestyle, it's very interesting. And I was also grateful for Alaska as well because that was the first time I had lived on a military base, and also went to school in a military base as well. So what was really cool about that is that was the first time I had gotten to meet a lot of other people like in the same situation as me. But
Mhm.
because like usually how it is for military children is like you're like always the new kid in school. You always had to. You're always kind of constantly learning. I would say, like you know, you're the new kid. You have to learn like what's the culture like there, like the teachers, just the all the systems of a new school and stuff like that. But Alaska was actually pretty cool. That was a difference. It was just interesting because like everyone was just kind of funneling in and out. It was just the
Mm,
cycle of just people in and out all the time. But you did have some Alaskan natives that actually like grew up there in Alaska, but for the most part, it was just military kids.
yeah.
But yeah, it was a really interesting experience. I liked it a lot because yeah, you just get to learn a lot about different cultures. I got to see a lot of the U.S. In my time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But you also have to, it's kind of like a sacrifice. Your parents make sacrifices, but also military children, they have to make sacrifices. You have to keep moving on, different friends and stuff like that. You have to hope that you keep the relationships and stuff like that. Maybe teachers or like any guidance counselors or any adults you look up to, or like it's just you're constantly on the move, so you kind of have to get used to that lifestyle as well. You kind of are part of the military as well if your parents are part of the military. But it was an interesting
Yeah.
experience. Yeah, I got to see a lot of the U.S. and even parts of the world, which I'm very grateful for because I feel like that shaped a lot of my perspective for the future.
Was it a lot of places that you moved to? Like, can you count them on your hand, or was it just too many to count?
No, I can count them on two hands actually.
Okay.
But every military child is different. There's some. I mean, there's even some that I've seen that have never moved, but it's still just a culture. It's just a grind when you're a military child. And some people have even moved more than me, and some people have like even crazier resumes and places that they lived than me as
Mhm.
well. It's just part of that culture.
Right, and, you've been to Miami, you've been to Texas, you've been to Alaska. Where else have you been to?
I've been to um, I've been to Arizona, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Germany, and
Wow.
yeah, I think that's all of them. Yeah.
Arizona and Louisiana. I didn't know you you've been there. Which state was your favorite place to be in?
Okay, so I don't know. I actually think about this a lot because I am
Yeah.
just not sure. Uh, uh, I liked Arizona a lot because I just feel like I had a very good friend group there. I felt that same way in Alaska as well. It's just Alaska was cool. Like I had a good friend group there. But it's just the weather, man. Like I'm definitely a southern boy, and that weather was
Mhm.
crazy. It would be like negative 50 degrees outside, and you'd still have to go to school. The snow would be
Oh
up to
my
your waist, and
gosh.
you'd still have to go to
That's
school. There's no
awful.
snow days in Alaska. So it was definitely a change for me, but I would say I met some very good friends there. The same thing in Arizona as well. That's a hard question for me. I don't really have an answer. I feel like I've learned a
Right.
lot in every state that I've been in.
Was it hard to constantly, like, pack up and just grab all the stuff and move, or did you guys just pack light?
No, that was kind of the funny thing about my family. We it's like every single time we moved, it's like it was our. I mean, we kind of got used to it, but no, we didn't really pack light. It was always a hassle every time moving. Moving in
Mm,
general is just a hassle, even if you're not a military child.
yeah, I can't imagine. That's really tough. I think I've moved maybe like 2 or 3 times in my life, more as a kid, but that's
Hmm.
besides the point. And I just remember my parents arguing because of how annoying it is to pack everything,
Yeah,
fit everything
moving
into the
is
truck.
definitely a hassle.
It sucks. It sucks. So Alaska, right? The snow
Hmm.
being up to your waist, they wouldn't just cancel school.
No, you would have to go to school. Thank God I live like right next to the school though. But my friend, it's funny. If you ask my Alaskan friends, like I was the one that was always late to school, even though I was right next to the school. Like I was
Funny
like
how it
two
works,
blocks
huh?
away from my school. It's just, I guess I just got used to like I can wake up super late, so I would just wake up
Yeah.
super late and just throw on clothes and run to school. But yeah,
Yeah,
my friends would always make fun of me because I live right there and I was always late to class.
yeah, it always seems to be the case that people that live closer to school are always late. I
Hmm.
guess it's because you assume like, "Oh, I'm right there, I can make it on time. I can hit the snooze button 1 or 2
Yeah,
more
yeah,
times,"
that was
but
definitely me.
you end up being late, and then the people that live, like, an hour away somehow make it earlier than you, but probably
Yeah,
that's
that.
probably because they take bus and all that, but yeah, okay. So, all these places have very different climates, like, Alaska's really hot. I mean, Alaska's really cold, and
Hmm.
Arizona's really hot. I hear people say that Arizona's almost hotter than Miami.
No, it is hotter than Miami.
It's just like a desert, right?
Yeah, it's just the desert. Well, Miami also has an interesting climate too. It's very humid in Miami. I remember when well, I mean, because we came from Alaska to Miami, and also during the middle of COVID. So I remember when my family got there, it was November, I'm pretty sure. It was just so hot for us, but it was just November for y'all. Or actually, it might have been December. No, 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 it was December when we got there.
Mhm.
Um, and I remember it was just so hot for us. It was so humid. We couldn't figure out like how people were just like walking regularly because we just felt so, I don't know. It's like our clothes were sticking to us. But it was a funny I had a funny experience with my neighbors because my neighbor, like we had this like little communal pool
Mhm.
in the neighborhood, and my mom was texting the neighborhood group chat, "Hey, when does the pool open?" And the neighbors replied, "Of course, the Alaskans are asking when the does the pool open in the middle of December." But
Yeah.
for us, it was so hot and humid. We're like, we didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I wish that I was in the cold, but then when it gets anything below 60 in Miami, I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't wanna be outside. Just going to church today, it was cold just to walk from the car to the church. The second that church ended, I ran to my car and turned on the heater, bro. I it's so sad, it's, like, weak, but I don't know. And in January, I'm actually going to the March for Life in Washington,
Mhm.
and I heard that it gets, like, to the negatives. Bro, I don't know how
Oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna
in
handle that.
Washington, yeah, it gets cold.
I don't know how I'm gonna handle that.
No, and it was funny because in Alaska, I never really adjusted too. I was a Southern boy, but I was still walking around in shorts and stuff like that.
Mm,
I never really fully adjusted to it, and I would just take the cold for whatever reason.
you
I
wouldn't
don't
layer
know.
up, you'd just take the cold?
Yeah, no, my friends will tell you, and even some teachers, like we would, like I would just walk out in shorts in negative weather, and I
Oh
don't
my
know why I
gosh.
did that. That was not a good decision.
I mean, some people still do that here. They wear tank tops when it's cold in Miami. But,
Mhm.
okay, so are both of your parents in the military, or is it just your dad?
No, both of my parents are in the military. Well, actually, my
Mhm,
dad just retired from the military. He retired this March. He served 20 years in the military, my full life. Um, but my mom has been in and out. She was active when my brother and I were younger, but when she had my first sister, that's when she got out and like she really, just was a stay-at-home mom and focused on the kids.
mhm,
Now she's kind of back in it. She's actually a guard in Alaska now, so every month, towards like I think it's August, she
mhm.
has to go up to Alaska and actually work some service at a military base in Alaska. So she's like she's there's an actual word for it, but I'm forgetting about
Uh-huh,
that. But she's kind of like a part-time, part military. There's an actual word for it, but I'm spacing on it right now.
mhm.
But yeah, so my dad just got out, but my entire life I knew him as a military man. And my mom has been in and out, but she's in it right now.
So, could you explain what your dad does in the military?
My dad was intelligence. He was so my parents are Air Force, and my dad was
Mm,
just he would just basically oversee everything. Like there's people that are on the front lines and stuff like that. No, my dad was basically overseeing and kind of directing where people go, stuff like
mhm,
that. He was mostly like giving briefs of and stuff or briefings
mhm.
about certain topics that he found. He would, he would go to different countries, um, deploy to different countries, and just basically just oversee operations. That's what he would do.
Right. So I'm gonna ask you some things about the military because it's funny. Like when every time I think about the military, I think of like people going to war, and obviously that's not the case. Like people, they have jobs there that isn't necessarily like combat.
Mhm. Yeah.
So what does like overseeing entail? What do these jobs entail? Like service instead of just going to fight? Because I
Well,
have a friend. Mhm.
he did go out to war. And both of my parents they went to Iraq and Afghanistan.
Oh
Even
wow.
when I remember they both got deployed at the same time when I was real young. My brother and I think my brother was like just born, like he was just a year old and I was
Hmm.
4.
Hmm.
And that's actually when we lived with my aunt in in Oklahoma. But yeah. If you're in the military, like if there's something going down, you're probably gonna get deployed.
Wow. So they were deployed and they fought. Like they actually fought in. Or they don't not necessarily have to fight, right?
Uh,
They could
uh,
just
uh,
do their service job at that area.
yeah. So like, I mean, yeah, I mean, they're serving a war, or like serving
Right.
some type of situation that's going on. I mean, there's different jobs in the military. Like you can be like, there's certain people that actually like sign up or like
Mhm.
just get assigned to be on the front lines. But
Mhm.
that wasn't my parents. My dad was intel, so he was just overseeing operations, and
Mm,
my mom was
mhm.
actually she was medical, so she was usually helping wounded soldiers and stuff like
Oh
that.
wow, that's really cool. God bless her. So, okay, these positions, right? So the reason why I asked all of this is because do you remember Christopher Newby? Do you know him at all?
No, I don't know who that is.
Okay. So he started working at Shake Shack probably when you left, and he just came back from his first like trip, working in the Navy.
Hmm.
And I also have an uncle who I think also worked in the Navy. I haven't asked him much. I should ask him more. But I just find it like very interesting how like in the military, like it seems like you have to sacrifice a lot.
Yeah, you do,
You have
and it's everyone really sacrificing, but that's just part of the job, really. That's
Mhm.
just part of the culture there.
Right. So in terms of that, like, was it really hard to see your parents like in the military? Like, did you have like seasons where you didn't see them a lot?
Oh yeah, especially my dad. I think we did the math. I think he's missed like a total. I could be wrong, but I think it's somewhere around 3 to 4 years he's missed in total, for deployments and stuff like that. But yeah, like I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it is.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's just a sacrifice. That's part of the culture. Like parents that sign up or guardians that sign up, they kind of know what's coming to them. But yeah, that's just kind of how it is. I don't. I guess I was just always used to it because my parents, I guess, would like after like they went to Afghanistan and I was living with
Mhm.
my aunt for a little bit. I feel like that was just me kind of getting used to it. Like after a while, you just kind of get used to it, and moves are kind of just like another move, stuff like that.
Right.
But the what I took into it, like every single place that I went to, every time I was moving, I was like, okay, what did I do? I think it also helped me. Then there's definitely positives and there's also negatives as well. But like one of the positives I tried to take out of
Mhm.
it is like every single move I was like, okay, like this place, like what did I do good? What did I do bad? And what can I fix? And I brought
Mm.
that to the next place.
That's beautiful. That's really cool. That's like every time you move, you do like an examination of conscious.
Hmm.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I think did you create that like idea on your own?
Well, that's just what I did. I'm pretty sure other military kids do that too. I mean, every military child really handles their situation differently
Right,
because I
right.
guess every situation is different. That's just what I did for me, but I'm pretty sure I would imagine other military kids do that as well.
Yeah, and I can imagine that the Catholic faith probably helped you a lot
Yeah,
in
yeah,
uh
it did. I mean, just my family is very religious in general. So I was always near the church and church activities and really
right.
just Catholicism in general, especially on my dad's side of the family. They're very religious. Um, but yeah, faith kept me strong. I was praying during those times, especially when
Hmm.
my parents went out to war or
Hmm.
deployments and stuff like that. Yeah, I definitely had to keep close to my faith.
Right, and it helped you, I imagine, to be more grateful about the fact that you kept moving. That's what you're telling me. That each time
Hmm.
you move, you kind of took it as a new adventure, a new opportunity, and you reflected back on how you took the past adventure.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. That's what I see nothing but the grace of God there because I personally, for one, when I grew up and I was moving from place to place, I would be mad at my parents. I hated it. I didn't take
Hmm.
it well. And so applauds to you for thinking that way and thank God because, he touches our hearts and shows us that there's other ways to deal with things and there's, with gratitude and things like that. I'm just learning that now as an adult. So that's really awesome. So, let's get into the youth group
Hmm.
cuz that's where we met. Uh
Hmm.
we still think about it. We had a recent conversation about it.
Yes.
Maybe we shouldn't get into the politics of it, but in case
Yeah.
in case, people don't know, because I might have mentioned it in a couple videos, but Jacob was the youth group leader, and then I became the youth group leader once he moved to Texas, and so he kinda passed down the keys to me in that sense, and I was really grateful for that, but I wouldn't have been able to do what I did if it wasn't for Jacob's and his mom's efforts, in cultivating the youth group, and so tell me about the origin of when you first became a youth group leader, how that came about.
Well, it came about after the Zoom. When I first got to Florida, yeah, I don't know, I was just looking for a sense of community because everything was locked up. And there was a local church nearby, and they had the youth group. I was like, okay, I'll get close to my faith, especially during COVID. I was definitely close to my faith during COVID times.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, I'll join a youth group, talk about God. And I heard that this youth group was pretty good. That's where I met Paul. And Paul, for those who aren't close to this church, Holy Rosary is the church.
Mhm.
And Paul is basically the director of a lot of stuff that goes on at that church. And he was the leader of the youth group at the time. And Paul is very good at well, first of all, he's very knowledgeable. Doesn't he have a PhD in theology or something like that?
Yeah, he has a lot of schooling, a
Yeah,
lot.
he has a lot of schooling, so he's just very knowledgeable. So basically, what I came into was just Paul, basically just freestyling the entire time. And I mean, no, there were youth group leaders at the time. They had their questions, but Paul would really like build off of their questions and also just like I don't know, just certain topics that they brought to the meetings. So I thought it was really cool. I saw that Paul was really knowledgeable, and I saw that they needed new youth group leaders because they had a lot of seniors that were graduating. No, okay. So actually, I remember what happened. So I think I knew Jorge about maybe a year before you did, or I don't know. I guess the timeline's getting a little shaky. But now that I
Yeah.
think about it, no. Okay, okay, I remember now. So I met Jorge 2020, late 2020. That was during the Zoom era, and we were even on and off. The fall and the spring semester into 2021. And then after the 2021 semester, a lot of the youth group leaders were actually seniors. So Paul needed some help because I think about like 4 or 5 youth group leaders left because they were seniors and they were graduating, they were going off to college.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'll do this. Paul seems knowledgeable. This seems like a nice little community.
Mhm.
So I did it along with this other girl. I think her name was Ella. Um, and yeah, in fall 2021, that's when we started. But there was just a lot of politics with the youth group, and we won't get into that. I know there's
Mhm.
still a lot going on at that youth group. But long story short, this is 16-year-old Jacob. I also just wanted something on my resume as well.
Right.
So I was just looking for a leadership position, and also active community service. So this was 16-year-old Jacob, and basically, long story short, I got handed the keys to the entire youth group right when I got there. Because Paul had a lot of other stuff going on at that time. I mean, we were still rebuilding from COVID, so things were just it was just a very weird time in general.
Mhm.
So basically, Paul was because he's directing so much other stuff at that church. So basically, like, I don't know if he ever really told me, but he was like, "Yeah, you like." I was basically running it, like I was running everything. So I had to come up with the topics. I had to come up with like special events and stuff like that. And I'm not gonna lie, at this time I was very stressed. I was very stressed at this time because
Mhm.
all of this is going on. I enrolled in community college as well, so I was also experiencing college for the first time. I also had a job at this pizza place at the time. This is before I worked at Shake Shack,
What
and
pizza
that
place?
I forget. It
Bro,
wasn't the
bro.
best place. It was
Wait,
in
I gotta say something.
hmm,
I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I worked at a pizza place before Shake Shack too.
what was it called?
Jerry and Joe's.
No, it wasn't that.
Okay, I was about to say Jerry and Joe's was terrible.
And no, but the place I worked at was very ghetto as well. It was
Yeah?
very ghetto.
Oh my god.
Uh, yeah. No, but I think you told me about that too. Didn't you say like
Bro,
a
yes.
customer like smashed the cash
Okay,
the cash register in front of you?
so here's the story, right? Manager's off on vacation. It's my first week working, probably my third day. They
Hmm.
left an 18-year-old kid in charge who only speaks Spanish. We
Hmm.
have pizza boxes lined up like beyond, like they're taller than me. I'm not even joking. They were taller than me. Everything was backed up. There are people waiting in line. I'm not even kidding, for like an hour to like an hour and a half. And this one guy got so pissed because his food was late, like he didn't even get it, that he
Hmm.
grabs the kiosk, the cash register,
Yeah.
and boom, throws it on the floor.
Bro,
And
that is some Miami.
I was the cashier.
Yeah.
I step back and I'm like, okay, that's fine. This is the worst that this can get, right? Like
Yeah.
whatever. I'll just get through this day. I'll quit this job, whatever. Then this guy, like obese guy, ordering 2 to 3 pizzas. I don't even remember. I'm just gonna assume that he was gonna eat it all himself. And he's also mad that his food is like not there. And so what does he do? Instead of like ask for a refund and leave, he grabs tables and chairs and starts throwing them around
That's crazy,
like
bro.
if
Yeah.
it was a YouTube video from 2008, bro. It was so bad.
Yeah, Miami in general was
It was so
Miami is
bad.
probably the craziest place I've ever lived. You guys have a certain culture over there. It's just you have a very intense culture, but
It's
I
just
liked it a
ghetto,
lot.
man.
You definitely have to have thick skin to live in Miami though. Like you can't be sensitive and live in Miami.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
maybe New York.
yeah. Actually, I would say I mean you guys might be as or even more intense than New York in my experience.
Yeah,
Um, but
maybe.
yeah, I just remember at this time, I was just extremely stressed.
Mhm.
Um, I just had a lot going on also in personal life. So yeah, I was just very stressed. But what that position taught me, because it was really just my mom and I running the show for a majority of the time.
Mhm.
Um, it taught me so much on how to build a community, and just like I don't know how to market myself, how to sell myself
Mhm.
as well. Because I told you this before the interview, like if I can get in Miami to come to a youth group every Wednesday and like I can keep them entertained,
Totally.
like I feel like I can really I feel like I can do a lot with selling myself. Um, so it just taught me a lot. Like really, I really came into it blind, but I feel like I came out of it learning so much, and I really liked the result, the community I built. I mean, there was definitely some hard times, a lot of hard times with that youth group. There was times where even like only one person would come at a time,
Oh,
where I was
wow.
only just talking to one. And shout out Danilo. Danilo, if I don't know if he's still there, but if Danilo's there, bro, you had me. He came to
Yeah,
almost every single meeting.
awesome.
He was this or actually he was a middle schooler that was just coming into high school, but
Mhm.
he's a very smart kid. I love Danilo, and
Mhm.
his mother and his sister, like all of them, they were very nice, and his father as well. He comes from a very nice family.
That's awesome.
Um, but yeah, I also learned a lot from Danilo, and I just learned, just like what it takes to build a community. And yeah, just build a successful group, even though like there was definitely some hard times and times where I questioned myself. But also it helped me with like speaking as well. Just so many things that I feel like I carry on in life, but definitely while I was going through it, I was extremely stressed during
Mhm.
that time. And Mikhail, do you still talk to Mikhail?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, yes, he even helped me a little bit too because Ariane and Marilyn's family,
Mhm.
they for the people that don't know, those three people that I just talked about, they have their own like separate youth group. They're part of like this much bigger like organization, I would say, called
Mhm.
Couples for Christ. And Mikhail is the oldest brother of that family. And he helped me a lot learn the ropes on like really he kind of gave me like a little bit of an outline on how to like really approach it and like how to like really talk. So Mikhail also was very important to me learning on how to talk really. So yeah, thank you, Mikhail. Thank you, Danilo. Thank you, Jorge, because he was
Mhm.
really the only old youth group member that stayed as well, and I can tell I learned a lot from him as well. I can tell he leans into his faith a lot, and also just his story, Jorge's story in general. I like it inspired me because he's really on the come up from rags to riches. And seriously, his
Yeah.
story, I love his story so much. And yeah, I just learned so many lessons from it at the time that I just didn't know I was learning, but I'm thankful now.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think one of the most difficult hurdles, what learning to become a youth group leader is public speaking, to be
Hmm.
honest. Did you find that like the most difficult thing? I found that probably the most difficult thing because I'm the type of person that gets easily nervous.
Um, I remember in the beginning I had difficulty with it.
Mhm.
Um, I think after like the first semester though, I was good. Because I think also after the first semester, I was also taking a public speaking course. This also helped me. I took a public speaking course in Miami-Dade College.
Mm.
Um, and that really helped me like write speech outlines. That professor really taught me how to write speech outlines and how to like really get my points across. And I was
Mm.
very good in that class, and I actually really appreciated that class as well. I feel like that also helped me in my journey as well because yeah, after that semester, I felt like I kind of had it down. If anyone needs help with speech outlines, just let me know because I see a lot of the time when people write speeches, they kind of write it in an essay format. They write exactly what they want to say
Mm.
down, but that's not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to kind of just write down your points because speech outlines and essays are different. Essay is for
Right.
someone that's reading, but speech outline, it's for a speech. So like you don't need to write everything down. You can just write sentences of like your main points and like little sub points off of that, and you can just build
Mhm.
off of that because you kind of already know what you're talking about. You just need a guide for yourself on like to keep you on track.
Right, because then if you're doing it like essay, you'll sound very robotic
Yeah,
just
yeah,
following
just very
everything.
monotone and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I wish I knew that.
Hmm.
The funny thing, my public speaking class at MDC was
Hmm.
online.
Aw.
Isn't that funny? And I think
Yeah,
I'll
yeah. How did you even get grades for that? Like, what was that like?
let me try to remember. I wrote an essay and I had to record myself basically reading the essay and that was it. That was like the final.
Mm,
Like
damn.
I barely did anything. It was super easy. It was an easy A. But yeah, it kind of sucks that it wasn't in person though, because I feel like I would have learned a lot as well. Because public
Hmm.
speaking is supposed to be live in front of an audience, not just something you do
Yeah,
in
because
front of a camera.
you're supposed to get rid of those nerves. You're supposed to talk in
Yeah.
front of an audience. That's kind of the, that's kind of the whole point. But yeah, but yeah, that's very interesting. I didn't even know you could do that. Do public speaking online.
Well, now you can do anything online. So
Yeah, that's something that's definitely an influence of COVID.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So I have really bad memory, but I'm trying to remember what was the structure of your youth group, the way that you would lead the youth group.
Okay, so I had two different types of structures. There was one. So basically, I kind of tried to copy Paul's thing
Mhm.
when I first got there because that's all I saw him do, and I saw that was successful. So I would just research a topic. I would bring a topic to the youth, and I would give my points and then just open it up to like for questions, and then I would just answer the questions.
Mhm.
That was really the main structure, probably for the first half. So I did this youth group for um, about no 2 years. I did this youth group for 2 years. So for the first year, that was my structure. I would just bring a topic, I would say my points, and whatever questions the youth had, I would answer them. And if I didn't have an answer, I'd like go to Paul or Father Dan. Um, but No, after that first year, Marilyn's family, they come from that organization, Close for Christ.
Mm-hmm.
They actually helped my mom and I out a lot because they have like structure to like how they do things and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what they kind of gave us their whole outline because they have like an entire plan laid out for every single year. So they gave us that plan, and we were following that plan, but we would just give it our own twist. So yeah, it would have different
Mm.
topics. But what it also added, I felt like it was missing. What I felt like I was missing from my first year as well is there was activities to build off of those
Yes.
topics as well. I
Yes.
felt like that's kind of what I was missing my first year as well because I felt like I was at least entertaining enough to keep people or like just to have a conversation. But it's when you're dealing with youth, you always need to keep their attention,
For
just
sure.
keep their attention. um and so yeah, that helped me incorporate different activities and stuff like that. They also helped me with the community service aspect of it, like fundraising aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
because they just had a lot more structure and to their thing. And I'm not saying Paul necessarily didn't. I just guess I just never really saw the full structure of it because
Right.
I only saw Zoom Paul.
Right. For sure.
So he could have a lot more structure to it now, but that's just I saw their plan and I kind of ran with it. I just added my own twist to it. And yeah, I learned a lot about fundraising as well. Fundraising is a big part to building your organization as well.
So you guys would fundraise for activities?
I mean, we would also fundraise for trips as well. We went
Oh, you
to a
guys did
couple,
trips?
yeah, we went to a couple conferences, and yeah, we would fundraise for that.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. We didn't go to any trips. The structure of ours was uh prayer, uh praise and worship, and then it was activity and then talk, and then sometimes we'd flip those two, and then it
Hmm.
would just be like a last discussion thing and then closing prayer.
Mm,
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
yours in the beginning was you'd bring something, a research topic, and you guys would
Hmm.
discuss about it. Then the second semester,
Hmm.
the second year coming around, you do the same
Hmm.
thing, but you would add activities to it, and you would always try to tie these activities to the theme of the research, right?
Yeah, I was definitely experimenting though with those activities.
Mhm.
I think you came in. I think you saw some of those experiments while you were at the youth group. I don't know if I don't know if you remember it, but I was definitely experimenting, seeing which ones they liked and which ones they didn't like.
Mm,
And
mhm.
the ones that they liked, I kept. The ones that they didn't like, I just replaced them with different activities.
That's really cool. That's what comedians do when they create like a special for their comedy. They go off on little tours and they give this and they give that and they see what really sticks and then they build their whole final
Hmm.
comedy show that they put on Netflix like that. So that's really cool because in a sense we're like we have to entertain people in order to
Yeah.
evangelize, you know?
Yeah, especially with the youth, like yes, you have to keep their attention.
For sure.
Yeah, because also yeah, there's just kids that are just there because their parents are making them to. So
Mhm.
you can't make it a total burden on their life because I know how it is. Like no one really wants to be forced somewhere. So I try to put myself in their shoes and I try to alleviate their just their burden as much as I could. I try to make it as fun as I could while
Mhm.
also still teaching God's message and everything. But I
For sure.
really try my best to make it as fun as possible.
Yeah, especially the fact since they're just coming from school, like,
Hmm.
and then going to the youth
Yeah,
group, you know.
I was doing schoolwork. I came home from work and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and also even when my mom has to leave for guard in Alaska for a month, so or
Mm.
even 2 months. So there was times where I was also taking care of my siblings as well, and I would still have to
Oh my goodness.
I had to teach them school and stuff like that. I would have to I was cooking, I was cleaning in the house. So yeah, I was just during this really in Miami. Like when I think back in Miami, that's when I was really grinding. Like I was probably grinding to the max in Miami.
Yeah,
Like
man.
I was maximum capacity grinding in Miami.
And I imagine that helped you grow a lot, but I wanna get into the growth spiritually. How do you feel like the youth group helped you grow spiritually?
Well, I mean, I was just very close, to the church, and Father Dan really helped me with my spiritual journey. I really liked him as a father. It really made me sad when I found out he passed from. Did he pass from cancer?
Yeah, he did. Let's talk about that. He passed from It was liver cancer.
Yeah, and he talked about that in mass as well, and I just
Was
felt
it
so
sorry, was it
bad.
liver or pancreatic? It was something
I think it was
in
pancreatic. I think it was
yeah,
pancreatic.
pancreatic, yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah, Father Dan helped me out a lot. Uh, with my spiritual journey. And also, well, I knew him as Brother Kevin, and then he went on to be Deacon Kevin. Is
yeah,
he now Father Kevin now?
he's Father Kevin.
Wow, that is
He's
crazy. Hey,
basically
he is going to be a great he's going to be a great priest.
so I wanna give you some
He
information.
okay.
He's a priest, right? But he's basically the pastor of the parish right now, but
What?
temporarily.
Okay.
Temporarily. Because they're gonna bring in 2 new people, and so Father Allen, who's only been a priest for the past 6 months, he's a
Hmm.
really good priest. He's a Filipino priest, very good priest. So him, Father Kevin, and Father, um, Frank. Remember Father
Hmm.
Frank? Them 3,
Uh oh yes, I do remember Father Frank.
they're just cooking at Holy Rosary, bro. Like,
Oh,
it's
nice. Well,
great.
I'm very excited for Father Kevin.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
Yeah, Father Kevin, while he was a brother and a deacon, he also came to the youth group meetings as well, and he would help out the kids as well. So I really like Father Kevin. And he wished me best of luck when I moved as well. He was right there, really by my side, and is just so positive. Like he is probably one
So
of the most
positive.
positive people I've ever met in my life. He takes every situation positively, and I kind of took that in as well. Um, I think what also helps me uh, is while I was there, what helped me on my spiritual journey is like really listening to the older generation.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like I really listen to older people now and try to take in the words. And like what I noticed too is like sometimes when I talk to older people, I always try to see their perspective, see what they could have learned on and stuff like that. Because also
Mhm.
that's what older people want to talk about as well. They kind of want to give their guidance to the
Yeah.
younger generation. But what I've also noticed too is like sometimes even if they say something that doesn't stick with me at the time, I think about it and like especially in certain situations, I'm like,
Yes.
oh, that's what they meant by this. Like certain stuff just doesn't stick. But like if you, what I've been trying to practice is like really
Right.
trying to actively listen, and like
Mhm.
even if I try my best, like I still won't get the message until like maybe even days or weeks later.
Yeah, until, like,
But
something happens, and
mhm.
then the message, like, applies itself almost automatically.
Yeah, so I feel like that's probably the biggest lesson you can take from growing spiritually is like how to make
Mhm.
yourself a better active listener.
Yes.
Because you had to listen for God in your life.
Yes.
So that's something I try to do, and also with military, I just like to do reflection
Amen.
every day and
Yeah.
just see how I could handle things better, and just how I can keep improving.
Yeah, so I don't wanna stray too far from the topic of Father Dan real quick, because I wanna talk about him for a little bit.
Yeah,
He
he's one of my favorite priests
amazing,
I've ever
amazing,
interacted with.
amazing preacher.
Hmm.
Like, he is the best preacher I've ever heard, like, in my
Yeah,
life.
there yeah, he probably is the best for me. There's one that came very close to him when I was in Alaska. I had this Father Jonathan, and he was very passionate as well.
Mm.
He
Mhm.
was a very passionate speaker, but I just felt Father Dan when he talked, you listened.
Yes.
That's just how that was just his presence, and also his voice. Like people that don't know Father Dan, he just has a
Booming
very
voice.
like, he just has a very powerful voice.
Mhm.
And he was probably the best priest that I've ever experienced in my life.
He's a wonderful, wonderful priest, and I I just wanna say, like, God bless Father Dan, like,
Hmm.
I still pray for him, whether he's in purgatory or he's seeing the face of God right now, I just keep praying for him because you never know, and,
Hmm.
I've never shared this to you, but he was my spiritual director. I remember I asked him to be my spiritual director,
That's
and I
great.
would
That's a
see him
great spiritual director to have.
bro, when I asked him, it was awesome. I was like, "Yes."
Hmm.
Like, every 2 weeks, I would go and I would see him, he would give me counseling until eventually he grew too sick. And
Hmm.
then I didn't even know he was in hospice. I didn't even know.
Oh wow.
He didn't really, like, let people know about his illness that much. He kinda just wanted my thought is that he kinda just wanted to just feel the suffering and just feel that oneness with Christ. You know how Christ suffered? He just wanted to invite himself fully just to, I guess, almost savor in that suffering in a way.
Hmm.
to just give it up to God wholeheartedly and in just in himself internally. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And it's just it really, like all of us, it hit me hard when he passed. I found
Yeah.
out I
Hmm.
found out in the kitchen table. My dad called me, and I didn't believe it at first. That day I went straight the second I heard it, I went straight to the church.
Hmm.
I went to go try to look for Father Kevin. I saw Father Allen. He gave me a hug. I waited for Father Kevin. We had a very touching conversation. And yeah, I just, he really saved me. Like, I'm not gonna lie, he really saved me. I was
That's
in a
great.
very I was in a very difficult relationship. He brought me out of it, and just the thought of him now, it gives me strength to just keep on pushing. Because in a sense, like, this is what this is what was told to me through prayer. I believe it was from God. When I was finding it difficult to grieve his passing, was that Father Dan now could do so much more for me as a spiritual director in heaven than he could do on earth.
Oh yeah.
And
Hmm.
when I heard that, I was like, like, yes, like,
Well, I feel like the greatest thing Father Dan ever taught me is like how to lead by example.
yeah,
I remember when I first started the youth group as well. One of the things that he tasked me with, he's like, I want more youth in church, um, uh, because he just the previous youth group. This isn't a dig. This is just what he told me.
right, right.
He just said he just didn't see a lot of the youth group in church,
Mm,
and that was like his main task for me, like to get more youth in church. And he's like, you have to start, you just have to lead by example. You have to start going to church. You had to really like, you can't really be half in with this. Like, if you're gonna do something, you have to do something all the way. And that's
that's
kind of
so
how
awesome.
I carry, that's how I carry my life. Like, if I like whatever endeavor I get into, I try my best. And like, people have to, or like what I had to understand, I mean, is like before, like really all of this is like, I don't know, I guess I was just scared of failure.
Mm,
But I guess what I learned from this youth group is that there really is no failing. Like, if you do fail, I
yes.
mean, things aren't always going to go your way. This is
Mhm.
life. Things aren't always going to go your way. But like, how are you going to react to certain situations?
Yes.
You can't just give up. You
Wonderful.
have to keep going. And like in everything that I do, I try to do my best. And if it doesn't work out, then at least I can tell myself I can do my best. But I don't like, whenever I do something, I don't want to tell myself, what if I could have done more? Like, what
Yes.
if that could have changed the outcome? But if I give my all into something, then I can be satisfied with myself. Even if the results aren't what I wanted, I can be satisfied with my work ethic.
I love how all of this ties into the spiritual. It really
Hmm.
does, because we learn as Catholics, like, you don't lose unless you fully give up. And once you
Hmm.
fully give up, you give the devil full authority to do whatever he wants. You
Hmm.
keep getting up and you go back to confession. You keep pushing and pushing more. And I love the fact that you're saying all of this, especially the first part where you said that if you're gonna do anything, give it your all, because that's what Father Kevin told me on the
Hmm.
day that Father Dan passed, and I went to go see him. He's like, that's the greatest lesson that Father Dan taught me, that if you're gonna do anything, you're gonna give all your effort.
Hmm.
Like, there's a picture in his office, in Father Kevin's office, of him being ordained by Father Dan. And
Wow.
he says that he remembers Father Dan's, like, fingers literally almost, if it could, penetrate his skull, because he was
Yeah.
just giving it his all, that blessing.
Yeah, that's a flex. I would wish to have that picture
Yes,
in my room. That's definitely a flex.
it was
Seriously,
so
the people
hard.
that don't know Father Dan, he was a very good man. He was a very good man.
Something beautiful I want to actually, for anyone that wants to see, on the Holy Rosary St. Richard Facebook, that's the image that they have as, like, the banner or the profile
Mm.
picture. Father Kevin being ordained by Father Dan.
Oh, really? I didn't
And
know that. I'm gonna
yeah,
look at that as well.
it's awesome. And on YouTube, they still have Father Dan's homilies. If you go and look through them, you could see them.
Hmm.
And even now, I sometimes find it hard to, like, listen to his booming voice, because it's just like, you miss it.
He has a
But
very powerful voice.
freaking awesome. I just
Hmm.
there's so much. I remember when I found out he was sick, and then we had counseling, he told me that he's fine. I was like, okay, I'm gonna make sure to make every session, because you never know. And then,
Hmm.
lo and behold, he passed. And then I was grateful that I did go to every session,
Hmm.
because, sometimes it was hard. Sometimes, you feel guilt and you don't want to go to the sessions and all that. But I really felt like the presence of Jesus in him, because,
Hmm.
like, every time that I thought to myself like, "Oh, I don't want to go," and then I'm there because of guilt or shame, whatever, he just like gave me so much love, and that kept bringing me back and bringing me back. But uh, I guess what I was pointing to was, oh, back to the Facebook and YouTube. I want to do this little project where I look for Father Dan's homilies and I post them.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
some of
that'd
the
be
really
great.
good ones. One of the really good ones,
You could
because
learn a lot from Father Dan's homilies. I know I did.
bro, my favorite thing was that in his homily he would point to the cross. He would always
Hmm.
point to the cross. What a rest in peace, Father Dan. What a
Yes,
beautiful man.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
Hey, but Father Kevin, he's doing a great job.
Yeah, I can only imagine. He impacted me a lot when I met him. I felt his impact immediately when he came to the church as Brother
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, and he was just working hard. Like I can tell he was listening to. He also took in Father Dan's advice too, and was just
Very
giving it his
much,
all. Like he just progressed very fast in the
very
church.
much. Yeah.
And yeah, all with a positive, very positive attitude. He's probably still one of the most positive people that I know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned before, just bringing it back to the youth group now. You mentioned before that you learned a lot from the kids, from the youth.
Hmm.
What do you remember? Do you feel like you remember the most that you've learned from the kids, or something that you've carried with you till this day?
Well, they really taught me how to teach. And also they taught me how to learn. I mean, they taught me how to teach and learn. I
Mm-hmm.
learned so much from them because basically what I learned is that really everyone has a perspective, and that's also kind of what
Mm-hmm.
I learned in the military as well. Everyone comes from a different background. Everyone has a different culture. Everyone has certain customs and traditions that they follow. Everyone just has a certain, just a certain program in their mind that they kind of follow, and
Mm-hmm.
so it was very interesting just to see. I mean, really, just to kind of dissect the youth and just see where their minds were at. I
Mm-hmm.
learned a lot from them. Just their different stories, like how they worked, how they came into their faith, even if they were being, dragged there. They even let me know when they were questioning their faith as well, and
Mm.
I could relate to that as well. I mean, everyone that really follows Christ, I feel like at one point you're going to question your faith. At one point you're going to get tested very hard.
Human.
But what I
Mm-hmm.
will say to that, when you are getting tested and it seems like God isn't there, the teacher never talks when the test is given out. So
Very true.
you kind of just have to, you like I know it's very hard because I've gone through certain stuff as well. And I don't want to be preachy as well. This is just from my
No,
personal
by all means,
experience.
preach, bro. All of this is great.
um, there's just gonna be, and I know there is still hard time coming,
Mm-hmm.
and I know I believe now. But the thing is, when you're a child of God, you're God's favorite. But with being God's favorite, you're also the devil's favorite. So you're gonna get,
Yes.
so you're as you progress in life, I kind of think of it as like a video game.
Mm-hmm.
There's you start off kind of easier, but as life progresses, you're gonna fight harder and harder bosses. You're gonna have harder and
Yes.
harder challenges. um, but you just have to keep on pushing. You have to keep on pushing until the final boss, which I think the final boss is like retirement, in my opinion. Then that's when I could really chill. But yeah, I mean the youth, they taught me so much. Also, Ariane and just her siblings in general, they
Mm,
helped me out a lot as well in my journey. Mikhail and their brother and sister, they just helped me out so much because they
yeah.
were also just very knowledgeable too. They came from a very very spiritual family, very spiritual
Mhm.
background. Um, and yeah, just I was just learning so much from people, from even people that were there. They had like zero faith in God. To people that were very religious. I just had a very good spectrum to work with and just see people's different perspectives and how they thought about things. So it just I guess the biggest thing I learned was just to be more open minded
Mm.
to
Mhm.
people because everyone's really going through something. And having an open mind, like I just feel like it will never really hurt you in life to have an open mind. I
For
feel like the
sure.
more open your mind is, just the more tolerant you are, and the more capable you are of learning. That's my opinion. So I guess the biggest takeaway I learned is just to have an open mind.
That's beautiful, yeah. You have to have an open mind in order to be a leader, because you have to be willing to let, the youth feel invited and not just shut down their perspectives and all. So, dude, you were a great youth group leader. You were a great
Thank
youth
you,
group leader. Do
thank
you
you,
ever
thank you.
think about doing it again, maybe?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. But I just know for sure that's definitely a time I hold dear to my heart. Even though during the time I was very stressed, I definitely learned a lot from that time. So maybe I just don't know yet.
Do you have, like, a favorite activity that you did or presentation?
Um, mm, Not really. I mean, I feel like towards the end, I feel like I really got into my stride. I really like what I did towards the end. I would say my
Mhm.
last semester there, I was really trying to, change, just have bring something different every single time. I didn't want the youth group meetings to be so formulaic. I wanted
Right.
to bring something new every single time. So I guess, yeah, I don't really have like a favorite activity I did, but I just know towards the last semester, I
Mhm.
really enjoyed what I was doing with the youth group, how I was portraying, God's message, and just how I was attacking it. I felt like I was attacking it at as many angles as I could, and
Mhm.
presenting it in as many different ways as I could.
Right, right. I think okay, so I also don't have, like, a favorite, but the first one that pops up in my mind is, like, the obstacle course.
Oh
You
yeah,
remember that one?
yeah. I remember I had to get to the church very early, and also the thing with that no one really ever said is the only thing
Mhm.
that I struggle with. For some reason, like half the time, like the doors would just be closed on me, so I would have to like
Yeah.
call like three different
Oh my
people to open
gosh,
the doors.
yes.
Yes, so
That
that's
happened
one
to me
thing,
too.
and especially with those obstacle courses, though, that yeah, I had to get there very early. But yeah, I feel like the youth like those a lot. It's just I didn't do them so much because they took so much time.
Yeah, I gotta send you a video because I have a video of that, of George going through the maze, crawling. It was so funny. But yeah, I remember that one. I remember that one. I
I
remember
definitely need that video.
yeah, you did that video. Oh, I remember the one where we reenacted, scenes from the Bible.
Yeah, that was really cool. And you were Jesus. That was
I was
hilarious. That was hilarious. I remember that. That was a good one as well. I think your group had the best presentation, just
Oh, yeah?
especially with
Oh, I'm
you as
flattered.
Jesus. I think you guys won, didn't you? Like we had like a little competition to see who could.
I don't even remember.
I think that was like, I think that was it. Like we had like a little competition to see. We each gave each other. So I picked out scenes from the Bible, just during
Mhm.
that time. And I, handed them out, and that was the whoever created the best scene would get. I think I brought like candy or something.
Right.
I'm pretty sure your group won. Yeah, you guys. I remember you guys had a very funny presentation, and it.
Yeah. Uh, can you say something? I think the connection kind of flustered a little bit.
What's the last
Okay,
thing
we're
you
good.
heard me say?
No, we're good now, we're good now.
Okay,
I heard everything, it just I heard, like, a
okay.
little glitch, but we're all good. So I don't remember winning, but I remember having a lot of fun.
Mhm,
Uh, when it comes to the youth group and you leaving, right?
mhm.
Like, I imagine it was probably bittersweet, but did you perhaps feel like a sense of just like, "Yes, like, no more stress."
Most definitely, I did
Yeah.
feel that. But yeah, it was bittersweet because I just felt like I really built a community there. Like I really built it from the grounds up. I had a lot of help, of course. And with community building, you need help. You need people that are more knowledgeable than you. So I just felt
Mhm,
like I learned so much from it, and I really built a community there. I had built relationships there with these kids,
mhm.
and it felt very. I was very sad to leave them.
Yeah,
But yes, I was definitely happy that the stress was over because there is definitely a political side to youth group that
for
got
sure.
very at sometimes just annoying.
Yeah, and that's the thing with, like, church activities and ministries and all that, like, even though it's a church, we're all flawed human beings.
Yeah, we're all sinners.
We're all sinners, and in a sense, that's part of the struggle, that's part of the cross, to
Hmm.
learn to cooperate with other people, to make compromises, and these things,
Hmm.
like you said, like, they give us lessons, you know? They give us lessons and they
Yeah.
help build us spiritually. So all these little V vocations, they ultimately bring us to our formal vocations, whether that's marriage or the priesthood. And so, yeah, I mean, how about we get into now, since we're talking about the departing from the youth group, you're back in Texas.
Hmm.
and you're at the University of Texas at Austin.
Yes.
What is
Texas
that like?
Longhorn.
Texas
Yes, I
Longhorn.
am a Longhorn, and that also took so much. I am just very grateful to be at this university. I realize how lucky I am. I think I kind of stressed to you guys how badly I wanted to be at this university at the
Yes.
time. I think I
Yes.
stressed you guys that this was like my dream school. And yeah, I'm just very grateful to be at this university. I'm currently pursuing a bachelor's in psychology with a
Mhm.
minor in Portuguese. Um, and yeah, just
Brasilero.
all the different people that I've met here. Just I just meet so many different people that I'm just grateful to meet, like people that are really gonna have an impact on the world. And just yeah, again, like what I also learned from the youth group is just so many different perspectives and how we all got to the same goal.
For sure.
But yes, I love the school. I love the campus. I feel like there's always something going on campus. Like I literally tell people around me, like just walk around campus. You can probably get something free.
Oh, yeah?
Or there's like some type of activity going on. I'm rooting for our football team. We just beat Clemson
Yup, yup.
yesterday, so I'm definitely rooting for us to go all the way from the Natty. I want that Natty. I want to go to that parade really bad. We didn't win the conference championship to freaking Georgia. Oh my God, that's the only team that has beaten us. But no, I'm sending prayers for our definitely our football team. And this university. I am continuously learning at this university, even outside of school. Just the people that I meet here, I'm learning so many different lessons at this university, and yeah, I just wake up with gratitude every single day because I put in so much
Yeah.
work to get into this university. And shout out to Valise Grimes. She was the head, along with her friend Dr. Pomatis. I'm pretty sure those psychology majors at NBC, like if you're a psychology major and you want to like go somewhere, those two because like
Mhm.
they're like the heads of everything over there. But I remember I took a course. 17-year-old Jacob took a course in for her, and she just saw so much potential in me. And
Mhm.
she told me about this different psychology groups I could join, the different activities I could join, and she was very instrumental in getting me into this university because really I really had no knowledge of how to get into a university like this. She really showed me the path on how, like, what I need to do in order to have a good resume, and the steps I need to take in order to get into this university. And it paid off. She was just as happy as me when I got
Mhm.
into this university. And actually, I need to email her. I need to send her some pictures of me at this university. I actually haven't emailed her in a while, and I apologize, but I'm very grateful for you, Dr. Grimes.
More and
She
more
definitely
gratitude.
Yes, she definitely believed in me. She saw the vision in 17-year-old Jacob.
That's awesome. And why'd you choose psychology? Why do you find that field interesting?
Well, I feel like that's just been my entire life. I feel like I've just been surrounded by different perspectives my entire life, different
Mhm.
cultures, and I just like people. Like I'm never afraid to have a conversation with someone, and that's kind of why I chose psychology is because you learn people. You kind of learn how people work, um, and you also learn how people like we all work the same, but we're all different.
Mhm.
It's kind of interesting. I feel like that major is kind of perfect for me in my situation.
Yeah. So, tell me now, what was the career that you were hoping for going into psychology and the career that now you've decided?
Okay, well, the career I wanted to go. I mean, I wanted to become a licensed therapist when I first came into because I felt like
Mhm.
I just wanted to help people. But I don't know. A lot of stuff has happened since then, and maybe I will go down that path as well. I know what I need to do in order to get to that, but right now I do want to become an airline pilot.
Mhm.
A lot of stuff has changed in my life to make me come to this conclusion, but I am very dead set on this goal right now.
So what do you feel like was the triggering point that sold it for you?
It was just I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there was actually a trigger point. I was really when I got here, I figured like, things are serious now. I really need to
Mhm.
think about like what I'm going to do in the future. I just want to be happy with what I'm doing in the future because I feel like if I go into work happy, go into a work that I love, then I'm truly gonna try my best
Mhm.
at that job. So I feel like I would have had that as a licensed therapist as well. But
Mhm.
just thinking about my experiences being an airline pilot, I just remember some of the happiest times were when I was actually moving, when I was in the air. I'm very comfortable
Mm.
in an airport, and I just remember just every single move. I just always remember like in inside an airplane. I just remember just so much peace. Like it was a transition period, and I just felt like I just felt at peace whenever I was in the air. So that's kind of what brought me to pursuing a career to become an airline pilot.
That's funny because I hate being in the air.
I
Ev
know, I know. I have a very differing opinion than a lot of people. A lot of people are like, "No,
Yeah,
I hate flying.
I hate
I
flying.
hate the airport," and I kind of hate the airport as well. But yeah, I've definitely heard a lot of people tell me that.
Yeah, I just find it crazy that we're in, like, this huge machine in the air, and, I'm, like, thousands of feet from the ground. I always think to myself, like, I'm literally in a flying refrigerator,
Hmm.
and I just don't like it. I find it uncomfortable. I find
Yeah,
it scary. When there's turbulence, I'm like, "Yep, this is it. I'm
yeah.
this
I've
is it for
definitely
me."
experienced some really bad turbulence in my life as
Yeah,
well, where I'm like, "This is the end."
and the air pressure is really bad and,
Yeah,
but, hey, man, I mean, I think being a pilot's really cool. I think it's pretty chill too.
yeah. You really just have to lock in for the start and finish of your
Oh,
trips,
yeah.
but other
Yeah.
than that, you're chilling.
Yeah, but I imagine most of it's just, like you're just, like, on autopilot, no? There's not a lot of, like,
Yeah,
moving
most of it,
around that
most
you
of
have
it
to
is
do.
autopilot. Yeah, you just have to lock in for the takeoff and when you're coming down. But yeah, most of it kind of takes care of itself. I guess the hard part is schooling. You really have to know each aircraft like to a T.
Mm.
It comes with like physics, which
Mhm.
physics is very hard. I know a lot of people
Yeah,
at my university are gonna laugh at me because there's people that do physics like nothing, but physics is very hard for me. So uh, that's just one of the things I'm gonna have to learn. And I mean, you just learn a lot of different things. With everything, you learn a lot of different things. So
for sure.
uh, I don't know. This does seem like the right choice for me, though.
That's awesome. I think we'll have to ask George about physics because he's a big math and
Yeah,
science nerd.
yeah, I know. I know. Jorge is just so smart. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, he's a big numbers guy.
yeah.
So, last 2 points I wanna get into, just the importance of building a spiritual life. You said that you pray every night.
Hmm.
So why don't you explain more about your spiritual life and how important that is for you?
Well, yes, I pray every night. I say the Our Father, Hail Mary, and Glory be. To
Mhm.
start off. But I think prayer is just important for me. Because first of all, that's in my opinion a talk with God. That's your time to talk, and it is also never. It's never bad to pray. Like it's just never bad to pray. Even if you're in a bad situation, it's never a bad action to start praying.
Mhm.
That's what I think of as well. And um, yeah, really it's just reflection for me. Prayer is kind of just like daily reflection for me. How can I improve? What did I do wrong? What can I have done better? What did I do good in?
Amen, yeah.
And how can I improve for next day? Because prayer, what I've come to the realization in prayer is that every day really is a gift. No one is guaranteed each day on this earth. So
Amen,
I
yeah,
take each day in as a new challenge, and I try to challenge myself to try to do better. And each prayer I do every night, I reflect on how, just how I'm living.
for sure.
If I feel like I'm doing things correctly
Mhm.
in God's path, or if there's some hard times where, we're all human, we're all sinners,
Yeah.
we're all gonna have faults. But I feel like as long as I keep praying, I'll be all right.
Yeah, and I'm rooting for you, bro. We pray for each other.
Thank you. I'm praying for you too. Gracias, gracias.
And what's it like being a Catholic at the University of Texas? Like, do you have, like, a lot of friends that are also Catholic there, or is it kinda like the odd one out? What's
No,
the
no. There's just this university. It's a big melting pot of different cultures.
mm,
So you could really find anything you want at this university. There is a big Catholic scene at this university as well.
mm. So what advice would you give to a young Catholic man or even women like us that's going to university that, you know, predominantly the world is more secular than it's ever been. So what
Mhm.
advice would you give them?
Well, I mean, just keep pushing. No matter what, keep pushing. Try your best. Try to make the best out of each situation you're in. I
Mm,
know we're all in different situations, and I know stuff is never really going to be perfect.
mhm.
But always, at least I always strive towards perfection. I know I'm never going to be perfect, but I strive towards perfection. I kind of that's also something I learned from Father Dan.
Mhm.
I kind of strive to be like Jesus, even though I'm never going to be Jesus, because Jesus
Yes.
is perfection. He is basically the role model. So like I kind of strive to be like that every single day. And I'm going to have my faults, of course. We are all human. But
Amen.
as long really as long as you're trying your best, college students, don't let your grades define you. Your grades are not how Jesus sees you. As long as you're giving it your best, that's really all that you can do. Um, Also, just as long as as long as you're giving it your all, there's really nothing you can do to fail.
Right.
There really
And
is no failure in trying your best.
there is no failure at all. Amen. And before we wrap it up with you, a little message for the youth. Um, is there any other topic that you'd like to go over briefly?
Well, I would just like to say, basically, my recipe, my own personal recipe for success on how
Mhm.
I've gotten to the position that I am now. For anyone, the recipe that I have found, I have it's three main ingredients. Um, it's work. So everyone, in America and in general, you're going to have to need money. So you have to
Mhm.
get yourself a job, uh, and hopefully it's a good job. I pray that it's a good job and not a bad job, like where people are slamming kiosks on the ground.
Oh my gosh,
Uh,
yeah.
but just find your way to make some money, especially for younger people. Really, you don't really need anything too serious. Just a part time, any stable income. Try to get something stable income. Hopefully, it's an ethical job as well. I pray for that as well. But yeah, work, education is very important. Just always try to put yourself in a learning environment. People that are more knowledgeable
Mhm,
than
mhm.
you, because I've definitely learned that too. I have realized that I have just been missing so much stuff, and I still am missing so much stuff. We are still both super young, but as long as you're constantly learning, keeping an open mind. And trying to open your mind to new things. I feel like you can really only go up from there um, as well. So yes, job, education, and also community service as well. Um, because with community service, that's really you giving back to the community. How can you serve your community? Um, and you can just learn so much from that as well. And it's also just a very rewarding activity as well. At least for me, giving back to my community was always a very rewarding activity. Ever since I was young, I think I can remember myself in community service. My grandparents, they would take me to like soup kitchens and stuff like that.
Mhm, mhm.
I try to donate clothes that I don't use. I just always try to be an active member of my community because it also brings you closer to your community. There's different nooks and crannies that you discover when you're an active community member. So those are really the three ingredients that I have found that have really put me into the position that I am, and the ones that I'm really going to keep using is just work, education, and community service. Those are the three that I have
Beautiful,
found.
beautiful. Work, education, and community service, and they all kind of work hand in hand, no?
Yeah, you can just learn so much from each of those.
Beautiful, beautiful. Is there anything you'd like to say to the youth before we wrap this up?
Just always just try to make the best decisions you can in whatever situation you're in. Just try to make the best and just try to make the best out of
Mhm.
whatever situation you're in. Try to make the best outcome, even if the outcome might not go the way you want. As long as you're trying your best, just try your best. Never give up. I would
Amen.
just say that never give up.
Never give up.
There are going to be people, even as you grow, as you keep succeeding. There's going to be people that are going to try to tear you down. Um, and I just feel like the more success someone has, the more haters someone has. But like there's going to be negative people on your path. You just have to. You can't dwell on what the negative people think about you, because the more you think about someone, the more power they have over you. So
Mhm.
you just kind of have to, like, if people are hating on you, like anyone that really hates, Like I just don't listen to them. Like if you like, I can tell if you're like just joking or like teasing or whatever. But if I sense that someone is really hating on something, I'm just like, bro, why are you hating? Like we're all really just living out here. We're all trying to make the best of our situations. So just really try your best and never give up. There's going to be people that are trying to make you give up. But those people that try to make you give up, they've really just given up on themselves, and they're just trying to bring other people down to their level. So as long as you never give up and are trying to pursue something that you really enjoy, and no matter what it is, just find something that you enjoy, something you want to pursue for later in life, and just try to make the best out of it, make the best decisions you can, and just never give up.
Spoken like a true former youth group leader. Thank you, Jacob.
I know, I know.
Now that was the discussion part. Now we're gonna do an activity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a maze for y'all.
All right, all right. Thank you, Jacob, for joining me here.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for
Thank
having
you
me
so much.
on. I really
Yeah,
appreciate this
for,
opportunity.
for sure. Thank you. And for anyone watching this on the day that it drops, hopefully it drops on Christmas. 99% chance it will.
Yeah,
Merry
if it
Christmas to
doesn't, I'm gonna look
everyone.
very stupid with this on.
No, I'm gonna make sure it gets there. I'm gonna work harder than Santa's elves. All right. So
Thank
thank
you,
you,
thank you.
everyone. Merry Christmas.
Merry
Glory to
Christmas. Merry
God.
Christmas.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thank y'all. Thank you.